So today we've come to the point of Anartha Nivritti. This is the real dividing line between, this is where, once you pass this level, the uphill struggle now becomes a downhill glide. So this is a very important stage, the Anartha Nivritti stage. Once you get initiated, now you have to really work on cleaning the dirt out of the heart. So for this we will study from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter number 2, text number 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nashta Prayeshu Abdradeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki Nashta Praeshva Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavad Yuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Nashta Praeshva Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavad Yuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Nashta destroyed Prayeshu almost to nil Abhadreshu all that is inauspicious. Nityam regularly. Bhagavata Srimad Bhagavatam or the pure devotee. Sevaya by serving. Bhagavati unto the personality of Godhead. Uttama transcendental. Shloke prayers. Bhakti loving service. Bhavati comes into being. Naishtiki irrevocable. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Report. Here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart, which are considered to be obstacles in the path of self-realization. That's the Anartha. So this verse is telling us how to achieve Anartha Nivritti. The remedy is the association of the Bhagavatas. There are two types of Bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavata and the devotee Bhagavata. Both the Bhagavatas are competent remedies, and both of them, or either of them, can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. A devotee Bhagavat is as good as the book Bhagavat because the devotee Bhagavat leads his life in terms of the book Bhagavat. And the book Bhagavat is full of information about the personality of Godhead and His pure devotees who are also Bhagavatas. Bhagavata book and person are identical. The devotee Bhagavat is a direct representative of Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. So, by pleasing the devotee Bhagavata, one can receive the benefit of the book Bhagavata. Human reason fails to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavata or the book Bhagavata, one gets gradual promotion on the path of devotion. But actually, these are facts explained by Srila Narada Deva, who happened to be a maidservant's son in his previous life. The maidservant was engaged in the menial service of the sages, and thus he also came into contact with them. And simply by associating with them and accepting the remnants of foodstuff left by the sages, the son of the maidservant got the chance to become the great devotee and personality, Srila Narada Deva. These are the miraculous effects of the association of Bhagavatas. And to understand these effects practically, it should be noted that by such sincere association of the Bhagavatas, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily, with the result that he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. The more progress is made in devotional service under the guidance of the Bhagavatas, the more one becomes fixed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The messages of the book Bhagavata, therefore, have to be received from the devotee Bhagavata, and the combination of these two Bhagavatas will help the neophyte devotee to make progress on and on. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Zavadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. So, on the stage of Bhajana Kriya, one's Krishna consciousness is being interrupted a lot. So many interruptions are there on the level of Bhajana Kriya. But when one comes to the stage, the Nishta stage, then it's hardly any interruption. So what's the dividing line between being very much interrupted in one's Krishna consciousness and hardly interrupted at all? That dividing line is in the Anartha Nivritti. So this is actually once one becomes initiated, the first step is to get qualified for initiation, you see. And then the next step is, all right, now I'm initiated, now I have to really focus on Anartha Nivritti. Because until you can cross over that hump, your Krishna consciousness will be interrupted again and again and again by so many agitations of the mind. But once you cross over Anartha Nivritti, it's like, uphill struggle, and at that point, then it's just a downhill glide from there. So to understand how to get all of this dirt out of the heart is a very important principle, most important principle. And this verse is giving very wonderful instructions how to do that. The key is Bhagavata. The book Bhagavata, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the person Bhagavatam, the pure devotee, the spiritual master. These two Bhagavatas, by their contact, we become liberated from the anarthas. In other words, instead of just saying, okay, I got to pull the anarthas out, no, you just put in Krishna consciousness. By hearing the person Bhagavata, by reading the book Bhagavata, you fill your heart up with more and more Krishna consciousness. So that Krishna consciousness, it drives out the anarthas. The more you fill your heart with Krishna consciousness, the anarthas just go away. It's like a landlord, if he can get better quality tenants in his apartment building, he'll evict all the riffraff, all the low-class tenants who simply trash the apartment building. He needs to have tenants. Someone has to pay the rent so he can make his profit, and he's being a landlord of the apartment building. But if he has riffraff caliber tenants who are simply trashing the place, causing so many difficulties, then it's a big problem for him. But if you can bring in very high quality tenants who take very good care of the property, very respectful tenants, you see, for his apartment, then he can get rid of those other tenants. So in this way, you have to fill the heart with Krishna consciousness. And then when the anarthas come looking for some space, there'll be a sign there, no vacancy. So it's a very nice process. The more we can hear Bhagavat, either person or book, then we become more and more filled with Krishna consciousness. Vishayamani vartante niraharasya dehina Rashavarshang Rishopyashva Parang Vistvani Vartate. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So this is the key for Anartha Nivritti. You just have to learn how to get that higher taste. You just have to go after that higher taste. Tunde tandavali riteng vitinute tundavali labdiye karna krodha kadambadi gatayate kunarvide vraspriham chaita prangana sangani vijayate sravendriyanam kritim no jane janita kriyadvir amrita krishneti varanadvai. This is very nicely described by Srila Rupa Goswami. He says, I do not know how much nectar these two syllables, Krishna, have produced. Because whenever I utter that name, Krishna, it's not simply an utterance, it dances in my mouth. And when there's so much nectar, when it's dancing in my mouth, I want to have millions of mouths just to try to get some more of that nectar. And then when it enters into the holes of my ears, I want to have millions and billions of ears so I can get more of that nectar. And then when that holy name is dancing in the courtyard of my heart, tighten it, my mind is completely conquered. All the anarthas are driven away. And I'm simply stunned in a state of transcendental wonder. So it's not a matter of saying, well, I have to stop thinking about sex, I have to stop thinking about this, I have to stop thinking about that. No, you don't have, you just put in the wonderful positive thoughts, Krishna conscious thoughts. And then all the dirt just, loses its appeal. Once you get the higher taste of Krishna consciousness, and the dirty, filthy tastes of material sense gratification will no longer appeal. This is explained by Jamunacharya Albandru of South India. Yadavadi mamacheta Krishna padaravinde navanava damanun yattarantumasit Tadavadi mattanari sangame smaryamane bhavati mukhushtu nishtivanam sha. Ever since I have been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, tasting what? Nava Nava Rasa, newer and newer taste in that service. Whenever the thought of sex pleasure enters my brain, due to my past bad habits, my lips curl with this taste and I immediately spit at the thought. So here's a person who's gotten rid of the anarthas. Even if some of the memories of those past unwanted activities come back, he just immediately rejects. You see, no thank you. The key is you have to be aloof. We have those dirty tendencies from our past life, sinful karmic life, you see. You have to become aloof from it. Even though it's there, you don't get carried away by it. The puryamanam, achala pratishtam, samudramapa pravishanti yadvat, tadvat kamayang pravishanti sarve, shushamtam abnoti nakamakami. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text number 70. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but always remains still, can alone achieve peace, and not the person who strives to satisfy such desires. So to have some dirty thoughts, that's not surprising, because we were doing very dirty things before we became Krishna conscious. It's not surprising to have some dirty thoughts. But just as the ocean is not disturbed by so many rivers entering into it, even if a dirty thought enters the heart of a Vaishnava, he doesn't let it faze him. Oh, there's some dirt out there. He doesn't think, oh, now I have to act like that. No, there's some dirty thought. You just psychoanalyze yourself. There's a dirty thought coming through from my past sinful activities. Here it comes, okay, let it go. Hello, goodbye. Like that. Not that, oh, I have this thought came, now I have to, thinking, feeling, willing, and acting. That's Vedic psychology. You think something, and then if you keep thinking about it, then you feel like doing it. And if you keep feeling like doing it, then finally you will to do it. And if you continue to will to do it, then certainly you will do it eventually. So the key is you have to just nip it in the bud. Jayato vishayan pungsang sangateshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodo bijayate krodat bhavati sangmaha sangmahat smriti vibrama smriti brangshad bridi nasho buddhinashad pranashiti. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. From such attachment, lust develops. From lust, anger arises. From anger, delusion. From delusion, bewilderment of memory. And when the memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, bloop, one falls down again into the material pool. So the key is, all right, some dirty thought has come, all right, don't dwell on it. Let it pass through and go its own way. Just don't bother me. You see? Don't think, now I have to grab onto that thought and try to relish. Just by thinking about some dirty thing, I can relish it in the mind. I've given up illicit sex, but I can meditate on, I can think about it and try to enjoy thinking about it. It's not like that. One should not indulge in thinking about anything that's illicit. So the thought comes, you immediately say, no thank you, I have no interest. I found a higher taste in Krishna consciousness, and that's my only interest now, is to cultivate deeper and deeper Krishna consciousness. So in this way, one can deal with the anarthas, these sinful desire seeds in the heart, by not acting on them. It's like this glass of water here. It's a cup full of water. If I just simply let it sit here long enough in this room, it'll evaporate or go away. But if I keep putting more water into that cup, it will never become empty. But if that cup is allowed to sit empty for many days, you'll come and see that all the water evaporated out of it. So that water, that represents the anarthas in the heart. If you don't fan the fire of sinful desire by again engaging in sinful activities, illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, you're not putting any more water into that cup. So eventually those anarthas go away. They will. If you'll chant 16 rounds, follow these principles, hear the Bhagavatam, serve the spiritual masters, serve the Vaishnavas. If you'll engage in activities regularly, then you'll actually experience a transformation of consciousness. That dirt which is sitting in your heart, which is constantly interrupting your Krishna consciousness, it will become less predominant, less predominant. And finally you'll get to the point where it's practically gone. Practically gone. And then you become fixed up devotee, nishtha. That'll be our next lecture. We'll be looking at nishtha in more detail. But once you get over Anartha Nivritti, that's you really got to fight hard, you see. That's where you really got to dig in and get tough on yourself. The Anartha Nivritti stage. Because that's the anarthas that would pull people away from Krishna consciousness. They take it up, they get initiated, but they can't get over the Anartha Nivritti stage. Those anarthas just keep sitting in their heart, gnawing at them, like a rat eating the cheese or something. They can't get over the anarthas. The tendency to lord it over others, the tendency to want to enjoy women. These things are very difficult to overcome. The greed for material acquisitions, these anarthas, they're very difficult to overcome. But that's why it's recommended that every day you should attend the Bhagavatam class. I don't see many devotees. It's like it used to be everyone went to Bhagavatam class. Prabhupada instituted, this was a function for all the devotees. I go to so many temples, Bhagavatam class is like a ghost town, there's hardly anybody there, you see. And then, so it's very clear why devotees are having difficulty. And if you're not living in the temple, you're not near the temple, then you should study Bhagavatam at home. And if your schedule is so intense that you can just barely get around them before you go to work, then hear the Bhagavatam in your sound system in your car when you're driving to work, or you're on the bus, listen to Bhagavatam on on an MP3 player. It's very important. There's so many Bhagavatam lectures by Prabhupada, they're so wonderful. In the Prabhupada, the followers of Prabhupada, there's so many wonderful lectures, Bhagavatam lectures you can hear. This Bhagavatam is so important. Which book did Prabhupada bring from India? He brought the Bhagavatam. Very, very important thing, this Srimad Bhagavatam. Very nice described. I really love the second verse of the Bhagavatam. So sweet. That second verse. Dharmak parojita kaitavat paramo nirmatsaranam satam vejam vastavamatra shivadam vejam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite King Vaparayarishvaraha Sanjohrid Yavarudyatetra Kritibishu Shrushabhishtachanat. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great saints Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. We'll be studying, that's actually the Bhava stage. When you can immediately meditate, you can immediately find the Lord there within your heart. That's the stage of Bhava. So this Bhagavatam will not only take you, get rid of the Anarthas, but it'll take you all the way to Prema, actually. It's so powerful, so powerful. Because there's no compromise in the Bhagavatam. It is simply presenting pure bhakti. As long as we try to compromise, that we approach God to fulfill our desires, then we will never experience pure prema bhakti. Because we're still making ourselves the center instead of trying to make God the center. So it's very essential that a devotee have firm faith that simply by surrendering to Krishna, completely surrendering to Krishna, all of my problems will be solved. I don't need to do a 50-50 split. That half of my life will be surrendering to Krishna, the other half will be trying to get ahead in this material world for my sense gratification. There's no need for a 50-50 split. Draupadi tried to do that. She did a 50-50 split. When they were trying to disrobe her in the assembly of the Kurus, she called out to Krishna with one hand, she held on to her sari with the other hand. The 50-50 split. Was it effective? Was she able to fight off the Kurus with that one hand, calling to Krishna with the other hand? No, she was being disrobed in that state. That 50-50 split, she was being disrobed. When she said, this is hopeless. I can't fight off these Kshatriyas who are just trying to disrobe me. Krishna, help me. Two hands. And then immediately she was successful. And her chastity was protective. So we have to be, it's a very good lesson from Mother Draupadi, not to do a 50-50 split in our Krishna consciousness. We have to give everything for Krishna. You completely depend on him. Now Krishna, everything is for you. I completely take shelter of you. I have no other shelter. Please protect me. Please guide me. Please bless me. I can always be absorbed in your service in all times, all places, and all circumstances, 24 hours a day. This mood will enable one to get over this stage of Anartha, the difficult stage of Anartha Nivritti. So what to do if you're feeling it's very difficult and you never get over it, it's just too much? How can I, this is very good. If you feel you're in a desperate situation, I've tried and tried and tried to get rid of these anarthas, but they're just still sitting there, I can't get rid of them. It's hopeless. If you're feeling like that, then that's just the right mood to call out for Krishna's help. Like a little child feeling he was in a devastating position, he can do nothing but scream out for a mother, you see. So if you feel it's just not possible, I can't handle, there's no way I can get over this lust, this greed, this arrogance, this laziness, all these bad qualities, selfishness, pride, deceitfulness. I've tried and tried, but I can't get over it. What to do? Well, that's just the mood you need to be in to beg Krishna to help. My dear Lord, I've tried, I've struggled, but still I've got all of this dirt sitting in my heart. Please, Krishna, help me. Please help me. You see, this is in the mood we should chant our rounds. Begging for the mercy, our kirtans, our japa. It's not a musical performance. We make it musically beautiful, that's all right, but the mood of that has to be calling out for help. Calling out, begging for the mercy of Krishna. Please save me from my anarthas. Please save me from this dirt that's infecting my consciousness, accumulated over millions and millions of lifetimes. I have all this dirt, and I just can't get free of it. It's so difficult, my Lord. Please help me. This is the mood. If one takes this mood of utter helplessness, begging and pleading with Krishna, please save me, then you will find that you're able to pass through the most difficult, trying stage, the Anartha Nivritti stage, and come out, as Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and Prema in due course. So, are there any questions? Anyone else questions? Be writing them down. Why are devotees like Mother Draupadi put into so much trouble? Such examples don't give encouragement to bhakti yoga. Please explain how to remain fixed despite so many difficulties. Hey, well, such great devotees are put in so much difficulty, then what's going to happen to me? If the greats have been put into so much difficulty, what will happen to me? Well, we have to see how the greats related to these difficulties. Vipada shantu tat sasvat tat tatra jagad guru bhavanam darshanam yatshad apunar bhavan darshanam. This is Kunti Devi, Mother Kunti. She says that let those difficulties come again and again. Please, Krishna, give me more and more difficulties. Because when those difficulties come, I can do nothing but take shelter of you, and then when I'm seeing you within my heart of hearts, I will no longer see the repetition of birth and death. So the devotee actually welcomes difficulties. They make, for a devotee, the difficulties make his life exciting, actually. There's no difficulties. He finds it's more difficult to be Krishna conscious. He finds the lack of difficulty to be a difficulty. Therefore, he willingly embraces difficulties. He puts himself in difficult situations, like going out on book distribution. One difficult situation after another, trying to convince this person to take a book, that person to take a book. That's a difficult position to be in. Trying to convince somebody who's completely addicted to sense gratification to take a book. That's a difficult situation to be in. But the Sankirtan devotee, he relishes being in that difficult situation, feeling totally helpless. How in the world could I ever convince this person to take this book? They're not interested. People are interested in all kinds of pornography and sense gratification. Who's going to be interested in a Srimad Bhagavatam or a Bhagavad Gita out on the street of Sydney? So he voluntarily puts himself in a difficult situation where he has to totally depend on Krishna. My Lord, I cannot convince anyone to take one of these books. But I'm putting myself now under your jurisdiction, under your protection. By your grace, even the impossible becomes possible. So that's one example. The book distributor, devotee, he voluntarily puts himself in a difficulty every day. And he finds it's very sweet and very enlivening. It purifies his consciousness. He feels uplifted because the Sankirtan devotees, that's when they feel they're really Krishna conscious, when they're out on Sankirtan. Now I'm really Krishna conscious. That's when I really feel the most Krishna conscious, when I'm out on distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, facing one difficulty after another, hour after hour after hour, having nothing to do except take shelter of Krishna to help me in this situation, help me in that situation. So difficulties are welcome for one who actually understands what a great blessing they are. Difficulties, they're not seen as difficulties by the advanced devotee, they're seen as adventures. Who wants a boring life without difficulty? The devotee finds the difficulties to be great adventures of depending on Krishna. The devotee actually, you see, when he comes to the ultimate stage, he's having personal exchange with Krishna at every minute. So actually, if you see that Krishna is already reciprocating and dealing with us, so we just don't see him, that's all. Right now we're covered by the lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, and envy. But actually Krishna is personally arranging everything for each and every one of us. Every single situation we're put in is actually arranged by Krishna to enable us to get out of our suffering condition in the cycle of birth and death. So difficulty is simply, someone we are thinking it is difficulty, that is our lack of vision, that's all. It's simply our lack of vision. Actually, every single situation devotee is put into is the mercy of Krishna. This is Krishna's blessing. I'm put into this situation. Not a difficulty, actually. Difficulty is a state of mind. It's not actually a fact for someone who's taken shelter of Krishna. There is no such thing as a difficulty. The only difficulty is if I forget Krishna. There is no other difficulty than that. Okay. Nice question, I appreciate that question. Oh, whose question was it? Came from back there? Oh, you handed it, I thought it was yours. You handed it to me. All right. It'd be good if I actually can direct it to the person who asked it. Let's see. All right, please accept my humble obeisances. Go to Dave. Why Bhishma at the time of leaving the body, he wanted to see the 400 Vishnu form when Krishna was directly present there? I don't know. I'd have to study that one. I'm not familiar with that pastime. It's an interesting question. I'm inspired now to look that up and see. Hare Krishna Maharaj, you mentioned that we should chant our japa rounds and perform our kirtan in submissive and crying out to Krishna mood. But how one should develop and cultivate that mood initially? Well, it's very simple. That I'm so stone-hearted and so proud, I'm not able to call out to Krishna in a helpless mood. So Krishna, please help me to be able to call to you in a helpless mood. You see? Now you've done it. I'm so stone-hearted. I'm just thinking, I'm a great singer or something, I'm a great musician, I can make music to inspire everyone to my singing, or whatever, Then just say, Krishna, please help me. I'm helplessly caught up in thinking I'm a great singer, a great this or that. Please help me call out as a helpless child. It's not difficult. Come to that mood. There's having bad thoughts and unwanted thoughts, but not acting upon it, does that still cause bad karma? In previous ages, if I thought about doing something sinful, I would get the reaction of actually having done it. In the Kali Yuga, that does not happen. That's a special blessing for this age. You can think about something sinful and you will not get the reaction for having done it. However, as pointed out by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, as I quoted a few minutes ago, if you think about doing something long enough, then you're going to feel like doing it, you're going to will to do it, and then you will do it. So as soon as you let the thought get in there and you start thinking, well, I really like to do this activity, you start thinking about it. Wouldn't it be interesting to think about doing that thing or that thing? Sex is really a big one, because see, we're all lusty creatures. Generally in this material world, we're very lusty. So one may start, the idea of sex might enter the brain, and if you think, that's an interesting thought, let me hold that thought for a while and enjoy it, you see. That's very dangerous. You have to immediately reject such stuff. Even though you don't get the reaction for having actually done it by thinking about it, but by thinking about it, it will lead you to do it in due course. That's why bad thoughts are very dangerous. Can you please explain the line, "Oh hey Vaishnava Thakur Sam"? I don't speak Bengali, so Eka nahi pai bya hari nama sankirtan. Yeah, I have to look up the word for word to be able to answer that. Ekaki nahi. Yeah, I don't speak Bengali to be able to translate it. Is it true that difficulties give opportunity for Krishna to glorify the devotee? Yes. There's no question of glorious victory without strong opposition. I always give the mundane example of football game. Our experience growing up in America was American football game. So if the opposite team is just an easy pushover, they're scoring one touchdown after another touchdown, just completely running over them, it's a boring game. But if the other side is very strong opposition, they score a touchdown, you score one, they're 5 points ahead, it's back and forth, it's a very difficult struggle. They're very tough fighters, and you're struggling like anything to defeat them, and it looks like they're going to win now, and then finally you get the leading edge again, and they get the leading edge. Such a game is very exciting. So when one finally wins against very strong opposition, then the fans of that team, they have the biggest celebration they ever had in their life. They run, drive around honking their horns and blowing, cheering and yelling, and it's just a big, huge, raucous celebration. Because there was very strong opposition, but they defeated the strong opposition. So it's a fact that when there's difficulties, and you can overcome those difficulties, that becomes more appreciated by Krishna. It becomes more appreciated by Krishna. Let's accept my humble obeisance. Do we pray for Krishna to have mercy upon us, to get association of Krishna, or is it with devotees' association we get the mercy of Krishna? Both things. It is by the mercy of the devotees we get Krishna, and by Krishna's mercy also we get Krishna. So we should pray for the mercy of Krishna and for the mercy of the devotees. Pramanta Brahmite Konna Bhagya Jam Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. By the combined mercy of the devotee, the spiritual master devotee in Krishna, one gets the seed of bhakti within the heart. That is the shloka. It's the mercy of Guru and Krishna both. So it's the devotee's mercy and Krishna's mercy both that gives us the seed of bhakti. So you can pray for both. Pray for both of them. Krishna, please bless me. Oh, hey Vaishnava, Thakur, please bless me. In this way. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Is it possible to reach any stage by skipping the previous ones? For example, from Sraddha to Bhajana Kriya. And you're not going to be able to go from Sraddha to Bhajana Kriya. You can't do it. That means no devotee association. You think you can, without associating devotees, you can get initiated? You wouldn't even know what it means to be initiated if you weren't associated with devotees. That jump you cannot make. You can't go Shraddha to Bhajana Kriya. There has to be Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, and then Bhajana Kriya. In regards to begging to Krishna, in difficult times I fall into the trap of worrying about the result of the work rather than trying to depend and remember the Lord. Please direct me to know how I can make sure I remember the Lord. It's the same thing. Krishna, I keep forgetting you. Please help me to always remember you. As soon as you see you're forgetting Krishna, then beg him, my dear Lord, I keep slipping into this forgetfulness of you. Please, please, please bless me that you'll always remain fully manifested in my heart so I can always be conscious of you. In this way, beg Krishna to help you. Hare Krishna Gurudev, where is the desire come from? Or to clean up the English, where does desire come from? Desire comes from Krishna. Everything comes from Krishna. So when desire is utilized in the service of the Lord, it is in its original pure form, which is all auspicious. We are not like the Buddhists who say that one must kill desire. You cannot kill desire. Even the Buddhist monk who's saying, I must become desireless, he is desiring desirelessness. He cannot stop desiring desirelessness, because a desire is a concomitant factor of the living entity. So instead of trying to kill desire, simply desire to please Krishna with your every thought, every word, and every deed, in all times, places, and circumstances. And then your desire becomes perfect. When desire is contaminated by the contact with the three modes of material nature, then it becomes perverted, it becomes degrading. The more you desire sense gratification, the more you become deviated from Krishna. So, in our present state, we are desiring lusty things. We have lusty desire, greedy desire, So many polluted desires we have. This is the anarthas. So take your tendency to desire and dovetail and offer to Krishna. Dovetail it with Krishna consciousness. Then your desire becomes purified, and the impure desires go away. So our time has run out. So now we'll stop, and then we'll get together after breakfast. What time is the next session?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. So an hour and 25 minutes we'll reconvene here to go into the next stage, which is Nishtha, becoming fixed up in Krishna consciousness. It'll be very enlightening information we'll be discussing at that time. So everyone please come on time. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Srimad Sankarshan Das Adhikari Maharaj ki jai.